Moimodu as well as Tijesu Adewe are standing by. Good morning. Asha Mama, do you have a third-party insurance?
Yes, I do. But it's just that we don't really understand the benefits of this third-party insurance.
Absolutely.
You have done it anyways. Tijesu, how about you? I know you're a compliant when it comes to the law.
I've kept my own side of the bargain.
Well, I think I'll have to check my papers for that, but I believe I should, as a good law-abiding citizen, I should have one.
Don't worry, we're coming for you very soon.
All right, take it away, guys.
All right. All right. Yeah, good morning once again, and thanks for joining us on this beautiful and warm Wednesday in the nation's capital city of Abuja. Now, President Bola Tinubu has directed ministers to resume a public performance review next week as part of efforts to promote transparency and keep Nigerians informed about government programs. Mohammed Idris, Minister of Information and National Orientation, announced the directive at a press briefing in Abuja on Tuesday. He said the review will begin at the National Press Center, with ministers providing updates on the activities and performance.
The minister added that in 2024, only 25 out of over 40 ministers attended the first edition of the review, where they gave account of their work and plans. He assured that this year's edition will be more comprehensive, with all ministers expected to participate in the coming months. For more on this development, let's bring in a public affairs analyst, Jide Ojo, who joins us live via Zoom. It's good to have you on the show this morning, Mr. Jide.
It's my pleasure, Tijesu.
All right. Let's jump straight into it. This is another opportunity for Nigerians to hear from President Tinubu's top officials about the impact of their policies on citizens' lives and, their well-being. However, some Nigerians are skeptical, viewing this as another talk shop, and would rather have, tangible evidences and, proof of their work rather than just promises. Should the ministerial briefing be a priority at this time?
Yes, Tijesu, the president is on point to say that his ministers need to communicate better with Nigerians. Recall that a lot is happening across the ministries, departments, and agencies that many Nigerians are not aware of. And if you don't, there is a adage in my part of the world that a lizard jumps down from a roko tree, looks left, looks right, and nods his head and said, "If you don't praise me, I praise myself." It's always good to do a kind of self-appraisal. But, if you are not communicating, and communication is two ways, it has to be back and forth. If you are not communicating to the public, they might not or get away with the impression that your organization or your administration is not doing anything or not doing enough. You will recall that even the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari also accused his ministers of not talking to the public enough to communicate what his administration has achieved. And let me also say this. It is in the course of this communication that the ministers will be able to take on whatever the opinions of the public is and to respond appropriately. I recall when Mr. President was the governor of Lagos, people accused him of not fixing the Oshodi expressway that links to Ota. And what he did at that time was to place a very big board at Oshodi to say, this road belongs to federal government. And so people of Lagos became wiser and said, oh, sorry, we thought this road, because it's within Lagos, belongs to the state government and should be fixed by the state government. So if you are not communicating, people will assume all atrocities, all the underdevelopment is linked to the federal government. Meanwhile, there are three tiers of government in Nigeria: the federal, the state, and the local government. You will be surprised that many people thought all road networks belongs to federal government, or all hospitals belongs to federal government, or all schools belong to federal government. So when there is an issue with a particular school, assuming that a secondary school is dilapidated and in deplorable condition, people will blame Tinubu and say, look, this Tinubu has failed. Meanwhile, that school is under the management and control of the state government. I hope I'm making sense. Or a primary school is having issues. They will say, oh, it's federal government that is not doing enough. Meanwhile, those schools are under the purview of state government. So it is in the course of communicating that you will be able to distill issues, to analyze and let the public know, one, what the federal government has been able to do with its own budgetary allocations, and where there are wrong accusations, the ministers and head of agencies will then be able to appropriately educate the Nigerians about whose responsibility it is to handle such issues. Okay,
Jide, let's come to this. Just very soon it will be 2 years of this administration, and if you listen to what the minister said yesterday, that the last year just about 25 out of about 40 ministers made themselves available. Now, that is not a nice review. Now, don't you think with this new directive by Mr. President, there should be appropriate sanction? Because when people say we're not hearing the government, it's not just about the president talking. It's about his different ministers, the various director generals of the parastatals, to speak to the public, their reforms, what they are doing, and the challenges they are having, so that they can interface properly. Don't you think there should be appropriate sanctions for those that will not come out to abide with this instruction?
Sincerely speaking, I don't have problem with sanctioning anyone who flatters, because now it's a presidential order. It's not at the discretion of the Minister of Information and National Orientation. Maybe as of last year, it was just an initiative of Mohammed Idris, the Minister of Information, to kind of project the presidency and the administration. But now that he has said that he has gotten a presidential approval, I don't believe there will be one minister that will want to opt out or not want to come to the public to engage. But again, we need to put issues in context. There are ministers who may not have anything to tell you. And let me say this. For instance, when new ministries were created in 2023, towards around August, these ministries like Marine and Blue Economy, Tourism, Creative Economy, Arts and Culture, these are newly created ministries, and they did not have budgetary allocation until the first quarter of last year. So, for those ministries that found it difficult to take off promptly and felt that they will come and embarrass themselves if they were to go on a ministerial briefing, they really wanted to stay back. And the same thing will apply in this year. Now we have Ministry of Livestock Development that is just newly created and hasn't even taken off effectively, because it is when the 2025 budget is passed that this Ministry of Livestock Development will have the resources, the office space, the full complement of personnel to start working effectively. And there are new ministries, like Ministry of Regional Development now.
Oh.
All right, we'll come back to you, but we'll take this short breather now. So stretch a little, sip some coffee. We have more for you after this break. Stay with us.
Part of our lives is tough.
We're glad to have you back. We're still live from our Abuja studio, and with us on Zoom is our public affairs analyst, Jide Uju. Now, we're still speaking about this directive for the ministerial briefing. From your own perspective, have there been any areas where the government has demonstrated good governance? And additionally, are there any sectors or ministers that have, been particularly impressive?
Of course, there are, and kudos to our FCT minister here, Yeson Wike. No matter his style of politics which has pitched him against his godson in Rivers State. For us in FCT, we have, for a very long time, we have not had a minister that is very impactful in terms of infrastructural development like Nyesom Wike. Not only in the major city center of Abuja, but even in the satellite towns, we are feeling its impact in terms of infrastructural development, roads, bridges, flyovers. The entire Abuja landscape is now a construction site. TJ, so if you come to Abuja, oh, sorry, you possibly are speaking with Abuja. You possibly will have noticed that you can lose your way if you haven't visited a part of Abuja in 2-3 months, because there is flyover, as you know, cropping up everywhere. Unless you are a regular visitor to town, you might lose your way. It happened to me last December that I didn't even know there is now a flyover being constructed around the, what's it called, around the Nikon Junction. And that, you know, I was surprised when there was a diversion and all of that. So for me, FCT minister, the Minister of Works also stands out. The Minister of Information and National Orientation is also pulling their weight. The Minister of Agriculture, Creative Economy, I will give her kudos, even though funding may have been a challenge. So a handful of them are actually pulling their weight. But you will also need to understand the context, because, and that is why you have opportunity to speak out to the people. There are some ministers that may be working, but their effort is not feasible because they are not media friendly. For instance, Minister of Justice and Attorney General and Minister of Justice, you cannot fault him. Look at this suit on local government autonomy that he instituted on behalf of the federal government that has removed the stranglehold on the local government. And even when a development happened in those states where local government chairmen were being routinely removed and suspended even by State House of Assembly, he came out and said, this is unconstitutional. That's why the fact that Edo is under the APC leadership, APC government. So I will also take Attorney General Minister of Justice as one of the ministers that are doing well. But that is not to say that all the other ones I failed to mention are not performing, because performance is based on availability of resources. If you have followed Tijeso and my brother there, if you have followed the ministerial budgetary defense, you will find out that almost all the ministers are saying what you are giving to us is paltry. I'm even shocked that the Minister of Defense is saying that despite having 4.9 trillion allocation in 2025, that is still not enough for the Nigerian military to fight the banditry and insurgency that we are faced. So there is a funding challenge. There is also a challenge of office space. There is also a challenge of being well resourced in terms of full complement of personnel you need. So situations where you do not have this, all of this, if your ministry is not well resourced, even if you are a genius, even if you are very competent and have a very impressive resume, you are not going to use your own resources to fund your ministry. I don't know where that is done. So the performance index is directly proportional to how well resourced a particular ministry is. And we can see that even in the budgetary allocation, that they are not getting, not all the ministries, departments, and agencies are receiving the same sums of money. So to that extent, you have to excuse maybe underperformance of some ministers, while you appreciate the performance of others who may be very visible to the public.
All right, Jide. I hope Nigerians will share similar view with you, that you excuse underperformance of certain ministers. I want to take you on something you said earlier, that some new ministries, maybe livestock and regional integration, they might not have things. But I want to ask also that even if you're a new ministry that has not been budgetary allocation, is it not enough also you have your own plans? The president appointed you because he believes you have capacity. So for him to have said, go speak with the public, is for you also throw out your plans. What are the plans you have? There is no ministry without departments and agencies. So what have you gathered from the various departments and agencies under you? I think Nigerians will also need to hear from these same people. Probably they do not have budgetary allocation or inadequate allocation, but you can still articulate what are your plans. What do you want to achieve if the fund is there? Don't you think so?
Of course, that's the opportunity they have to come to ministerial briefing. But you know, in terms of satisfying the public demand, the road to hell is paved with good intention. People will judge you not by your effort, but by your output, by your performance. So when you have a plan, like for me now, I haven't seen much being done by Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, and it's been there 2 years. I haven't seen much being done by. Of course, you have a new minister in Ministry of Education now. The two ministers there were removed and substituted. So the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, you may have a plan. You can come to the ministerial briefing to say, these are our plans. But will Nigerians be convinced about your plans or about what you have been able to implement? The answer is that more people will be impressed by your performance than by your intentions. A plan is an intention. If you haven't turned that plan into action, for instance, when I'm talking plainly about Nyesom Wike, I've never met him. I don't like his style of politics. He's too combative a person. But that is who he is. But what matters to Nigerians and FCT residents, including you and I, is how he's able to deliver. We have had a minister who spent 8 years returning money to Treasury. That was the immediate past. He was more concerned about his integrity. But now we have a minister who is even demanding more money rather than returning money to Treasury. Look at the way Nyesom Wike was able to resolve the issue with Association of Resident Doctors that went on strike recently. I wrote about it in my column in The Punch about it was a belated action that he took because he should have prevented that 3 days warning strike from happening. But despite that, he was still the one that resolved the issue amicably, that the doctors were back at their work places. So what I'm saying is that, yes, you can come to the ministerial briefing and tell us, oh, I want to stop elders-farmers clashes, I want to do this, I want to contribute so much to GDP, I want to bring in this expertise. But people will just sneer at you and say, oh, haven't we had that before? They want to see action. They want to see what you have been able to achieve. And achievement is not based on how good your blueprint or roadmap is. Achievement is about how much of implementation you have been able to achieve. And that's why Nigerians are even eagerly waiting to see what is her name? Bala Usman, the lady, Adiza Bala Usman. If only she could publicly let us know what are the KPIs that she has in ranking the performance of the ministers. Because many of us who are analysts are just flying blind. We are just criticizing. We do not know what are the key performance indicators that have been given to each of the ministers. And you can be rest assured that it's not going to be the same all over. So if you have a different KPIs and if you have about 8 KPIs and you are able to achieve 3, and given the fact that you have paucity of funds and you don't have...
Oh, Jide, it's like we lost our connection with Jide.
Okay.
Yeah, he talked about blue economy and marine and blue economy. He also talked about Minister of Works.
Yeah.
What you have to say about
sometimes, like he said, some of these ministers are media friendly. They are the friend of the media. They like to publicize their work. So it's not hard for you to place a finger on what the achievements have been so far. But some just shy away from the media. Now, why does that seem so? Away? Yeah, is it that you're underperforming as, you know, the allegations are being presented? Is it that you're underperforming or you're just camera shy? Because I don't seem to place it. Why some people shy away from the media and it's only when you are being prompted that, you know, take that step to, okay, let me put my work out there. I don't know why that's
it's just like a man who is winking at a beautiful lady in the dark. Now, Jide, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. I can hear TVC talking about some ministers being camera shy.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Mr. Jide, do we still have you? Okay, we lost him again. Well.
So just winking at a beautiful lady in the dark, whatever you're doing, you must have a way to talk to the public, and it's through the media.
Well, we hope to see that this change. I'm glad that, you know, the president has also given his backing, you know, to the invitation of the Minister of Information. Come out. Tell Nigerians what you have been up to so that, you know, you don't give room for criticisms that is unnecessary. Yeah. When Nigerians begin to talk, you say they are talking from a place that is, they are uninformed, but you're not doing well to inform them. Now, Mr. Jide, if you can hear me, why does it seem that efforts to reduce cost of governance seems ineffective? Can you hear me? Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right. Why does it seem ineffective? Because looking at the Orosaya report, a blueprint for reform, it remains partially implemented. Similarly, the Tinubu's administration's proposal to merge government agencies and administration pronouncements aimed at reducing costs have not either been implemented or sustained. Why is that so?
If you ask me now, who I go ask? That's what I would say.
But from a Nigerian's perspective, help us understand.
I do know, TJ, I do know that last year, the president gave a marching order around March that is giving the SGF, Secretary to the Federal Government, the head of service, and a couple of people, 12 weeks, 3 months within which to implement whatever carcass is left of Orosaya report. But it has been killed in view, obviously killed in view, because, again, the president hasn't helped matters. You cannot in one breath say you want to reduce ministries, departments, and agencies, and then you go ahead and create additional ministries. As we have seen, the Ministry of Livestock Development was newly created just last year. And then we have had separate Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy.
I would have to apologize. We've run out of time, Mr. Jide. I really hope that we could also hear your thoughts on this matter. But unfortunately, that's where we have to leave this. Thank you so much for your time, Jide Uju.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's an ongoing discussion, but thanks for the opportunity to speak to Nigeria.
Of course, we can touch on it again some other time. Thank you.
You have a stay. Yeah, have a pleasant day.
You too. Well, thank you so much. That's it from us in Abuja. It's back to you in Lagos, Veronica and Ibrahim.
All right. Thank you, TVC.